Hi, welcome to Lesson 5. This lesson is going to focus on professional development, which is something that we have certainly been talking about since the beginning of this course, but we're going to be very carefully looking at what makes high quality professional development and then what that means for us as we are charged with providing that professional development. So just a quick review of some things that we focused on in Lesson 4. You looked at school-wide literacy plans and read a little bit about what that looks like at the elementary level and what that looks like at the middle school or high school level. And then you were charged with looking at two school-wide literacy plans. Hopefully you found those of interest, and you also saw how varied and all-encompassing those can be. It's a lot of work, and when you think about a school district or a school having a literacy plan that is that wide in scope, it doesn't just happen by itself. It takes some very careful planning for that literacy plan to be put in place. So your role as a literacy leader is really as the bridge between that literacy plan and seeing it actually come to life in schools with children, with teachers, with support personnel. And so that's why this lesson is going to focus on how you are going to provide that professional development. As a literacy leader, you are probably going to be the one or one of a team of people who is responsible for setting the stage and making sure that teachers and paraprofessionals and others have what they need, the skills, the information, the processes to make sure that that school-wide literacy plan is actually happening. So that's a huge task. It's a large responsibility, so we want to make sure that we're prepared for that. I want you to think for a moment about some professional development you have had in the past and think about what was effective and what was perhaps less effective. And if you just look at the pictures that I have right here, you can see my bias and certainly what research shows us that when we engage our participants in professional development that allows them to be a part of the learning, to work together, to collaborate, to do some thinking together, it's going to be far more beneficial than if we just stand up and present information. And certainly there will be new information that you will be in charge of making sure your participants have, but you need to ensure that that's happening in a way where everyone feels like they're a part of the process. One other thing I want to point out about professional development is it can be scary for people to learn something new. Especially when you're working with adults, it's hard to admit that we don't know how to do something or that we need help with something. And you will run across that in your professional development. When you are working with a group and you're trying to move them to try something new or to go in a different direction or to think about something in a different way, it can be very scary for them. And there's a very short video that I have up for on Blackboard that you need to watch that is kind of a funny way of thinking about this. But new things are difficult for us, and it's hard to admit that there might be a different way of doing something. So don't let that frazzle you when you're working with adults. That sometimes that is shown in different ways. In frustration, it might look like people are dismissive when perhaps they're really just a little bit frightened about not knowing what they're doing next. To get you thinking a little bit about how you actually carry out that professional development, you have two chapters that will provide some information. a lot of really good information, but two elements that I want to just talk about briefly here are you will read about the 7 characteristics of adult learners and the 8 principles of constructivist teaching. And the reason I want you to read these right now is because it helps you understand a little bit more about how adult learners learn. And you will be largely providing your professional development to teachers, to your peers, and sometimes we're used to teaching younger children, and many of those principles apply, but there are some things that are different, some ways that you can be more effective with adult learners. And so as you read through those couple of chapters, I want you to be thinking about what would this look like in action for me when I am providing professional development for the people that I need to provide that for. You will then have a chance in blog number 7, blog post 7, to talk about what does that high quality professional development look like, and make sure that you incorporate those big ideas in there. So the 2 chapters I was referring to come out of I'll call it the new book, the Lyons and Pennell book, Systems for Change in Literacy Education, A Guide to Professional Development. And there are 2 sections in there. Again, the first one focuses more conceptually on what we need to know about teachers and their learning. And then the second section is a little bit more specific in how you go about implementing that professional development. So I think you will like these sections. I think you'll like the tone of this book and find it very useful. It is one that I go back to time and time again. Blog post 8, once again, is your choice, and what I've listed here is there are amazing things that you all have written about in your blogs, and I know that you've been responding to those people in your blog groups, and you maybe haven't had a chance to see all of the things that people are writing about. So this is just a sample of some of the ideas and topics that you all have been writing about in your blogs. And I think it's just kind of interesting to see that we all are bringing different ideas. They're all important to literacy, but we're all coming at it from a little bit of a different angle. So I just wanted you to think a little bit about, how diverse our experiences as literacy leaders will actually be. Along that blog note, I will be changing the blog groups, so they're posted in Blackboard. But just kind of an awareness to go back and look at those, because I wanted you to have an opportunity to visit some other blogs that you are not familiar with. So once again, thank you for your hard work in this course. I am proud of all of you and the work that you're doing. I'm thrilled to have you as part of this course, and I just want you to know, as always, if you have questions or something comes up, please don't hesitate to contact me. Thanks.